Well, good afternoon. This won't be a long briefing. We have a couple important things that we wanted to update you on today. To start with, on COVID, this is the 7-day average of the positive rate. It's still continuing to go down. Hospitalizations continuing to drop by the day. It's getting better. It is not going down as fast as it would if we sped up the vaccinations, but at this point, you can get a vaccination by walking up in 8 different places during the week and 8 different places on Saturday. And walking in, I just ran into a security officer who, when I did last week's briefing, I told him he had to get his shot, and he just showed me his card. So I guess if I hit enough places, I could do something about the vaccination rate in this town, but he was just telling me how greatly relieved he is now, not to have to worry about his family. And really, that's what it is. It's going to be conversation to conversation. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have given him a ride and picked up $50. But I'm glad that he's gotten that done. But the $50 Good Neighbor program continues to work. We probably have 100 people a day being vaccinated in the Good Neighbor program. People are watching out for each other. Right now, the CDC is meeting. And I just checked. They haven't done it yet, but I'm anticipating before the end of the day, they are going to approve the Pfizer vaccine for anybody age 12 and up. So watch your report, but assuming that they do approve it by 5 o'clock today, tomorrow we will have the Pfizer vaccine available to any Detroiter age 12 and up at any of our locations. So you've got the 8 Monday through Friday locations that are up there, either walk-in or by appointment, and then all 8 locations on Saturday, the churches and rec centers. And so we're just going to do this. We are going to have the Pfizer vaccine available for anybody 12 and up. But as we start to talk about children, parents are going to have to be engaged in this. We don't vaccinate children unless their parents are with them and consent. So 15-year-old, 16-year-old, you can't walk in on your own and say, I decided to get a shot. The parents have to accompany them. So, the vaccination rules, as soon as the CDC approves it, every site rules are going to be the same. If they're between 12 and 17, you have to be at your shot with a parent or legal guardian. They have to come with you. They have to come in and tell our nurses that they're with you. Second, they're going to have to show ID. That they are, in fact, your parent or guardian, and they're going to have to sign a form. So they'll be handed a written consent form, but we are not going to make mistakes when we're dealing with children. We are going to make sure that you have signed off. And there's a fourth rule that I really want to emphasize, which is we're not going to pay the $50 Good Neighbor reimbursement for children. That is, if it's somebody 17 or under, you can't bring your own child and get a $50 gift card. I don't want there ever to be a question that somebody took their kid in to get vaccinated because they wanted $50. We're not doing that. You should bring your child in to get vaccinated because it's good for the child, it's good for the family, it's good for the community. But I don't want anybody to think that you can make $50 by doing it, because this is to make really sure for the protection of our children, parents are making good, informed decisions. So as I say, assuming the CDC votes as expected in the next hour or so, you can come to any one of our 8 sites tomorrow, bring your child, sign the form, and they can get vaccinated too. And this is what we're going to do. We are going to make vaccinations more accessible in Detroit than any place else. Our vaccination rate continues to lag. It is going to slow down the reopening of the city, and everybody's just going to have to pitch in until we get there. And so that's our update on COVID. We have some good news today, and that has to do with our affordable housing fund. We've made a commitment in this city that nobody gets pushed out to make way for new residents. What we've seen all over the country in cities is when cities have come back, people of low income have been pushed out of the neighborhoods by people who have got bigger wallets. And so we have made it a point for every subsidized housing project in the city, when the subsidy goes away, we extend the subsidy for another 20 or 30 years, so nobody gets pushed out. We needed to raise a lot of money for that, and we've set a goal in the Detroit Housing for the Future Fund of raising $75 million. Today, Rick DeVore and PNC Bank are here, and they're announcing a $7.5 million commitment to that fund. We are more than halfway to our goal. PNC has been a great partner on affordable housing, and I'm going to let Rick and Tahira Ziegler, who is administering the program for us at LISC, to talk about what it means. But we are going to have housing security in this city. And so when we have a project that we need help for, and this is the reality, if you could normally rent a place for $800 a month to make money, and we want you to rent it for $600 a month to make it affordable, somebody has to pay that difference. Landlords aren't going to do that out of the goodness of their hearts. That's what this is all about, is figuring out who comes up with that money to make the difference, to make sure people of all incomes can live in all neighborhoods. And that's what PNC is stepping up to do today. It's what LISC has done all along, and Detroit continues to be a leader on this. Out of the fund, we've already had 3 projects approved with 100 new or preserved affordable units, $31 million. I'm going to show you what they are, show you how this is working, and let the people who are making it happen talk from there. But we had 27 units over on West Boston where the families were going to lose their subsidized housing. The tax credits are going away. We put together an agreement with Sonia Mays, a Detroit developer who's familiar with people, and her night job is on the school board, but she's done a phenomenal job developing apartments in this city. And now the folks who live there are going to continue to pay $150 to $200 a month, going to be able to stay in these apartments that are not going to be pushed out of Boston Edison. This is what we're trying to do. On the old Lincoln Historic Auto Plant in the Northwest Goldberg neighborhood, we've got 81 new units, 58 of them affordable units. So again, we're reusing old property, not just knocking it down, but we're making sure people of all incomes can live in a place that's very special. The Lincoln plant, you know, they moved out probably in the 1950s, but it's still a part of our heritage. And then George Namdi and Rod Hardiman. You can see the project going up right now on Grand River near Woodbridge next to the pet hospital. And they are building 30 more apartments, 15 of which will be affordable. And so now you've got the Woodbridge area, one of the hottest areas in the city as far as growing property values. We're making sure that we're adding affordable units in that neighborhood. So again, we have people of all incomes in every neighborhood possible. Everything about this is because of our great partners. I'm really pleased today to get a major contribution from PNC. PNC has been working in the affordable housing market for years. They are a national leader, and with that, I'll turn it over to their Vice President, Rick DeVore.
Thank you, Mayor. And, you know, really, I commend the Mayor and LISC for having the foresight to look at this problem. A lot of these projects are running out of it'll be their 15th year in their life cycle and coming off of the tax cycle. There was a danger, a real danger, that these projects would go market rate, which in of itself is not bad, but it's bad for the residents of the city of Detroit where they would get pushed out. So this fund that we're putting $7.5 million is a fund to preserve these staying affordable. And just to put some numbers to it, you know, for a family of 4, less than $45,000 a year, individual $32,000 a year in terms of adjusted income. So really these units are part of, I think, the strategy in the city that the mayor's leading to keep residents inside the city walls. The mayor mentioned Sonia. We're in early discussions with Sonia to have another fund that we do for just developers of color in the city of Detroit. We have a meeting on that a week from Friday. We also did the Sugar Hill project with her, where we put in $10 million of new market tax credits and made a $4 million loan. So I really think that serious issues like this need creativity. I think the mayor's administration has shown creativity. I think groups like LISC and others have shown creativity, and we'd like to think we're that way as well. Some time ago, the mayor and I had a fun discussion about opportunity zones projects, and we did the first one inside the city, the platform, which is on East Grand Boulevard, right off of Woodward, and we're excited. Most people know that project by the project that has the paint that comes down the side of it. I'd like to think it's known for more than that, but I think everybody knows where that is, and that was the initial opportunity zone. So these projects take a lot of work. We're proud with our partnership with the city of Detroit and the mayor, and I think we're going to see more to come. Also in the early stages of two other exciting things I just wanted to mention. One is a fund that we're working on with a prominent developer to basically help African-American contractors so that more African-Americans get some of these contracting jobs where they're subcontractors. And that fund, and we're also going to be announcing, or I guess I'm announcing right now, but we're going to be doing a mobile banking, not mobile banking where people show up once and you never see them, but we've selected 15 partners in and around Detroit to twice a week deliver banking services to the underbanked, if you will. And so when we get a little bit farther down the road with COVID, we'll be working on that, and we'll inform you, Mayor, where those stops are, but I think you'll be excited on that project as well. So a lot coming, but we're just happy to be part of what the mayor's trying to cause here. Turn over to my friends at LISC, I guess.
Yeah, and I want to introduce to here, Rick, it's been terrific, the way you have pushed for affordable housing in the city. When we went to set up this fund, city government doesn't have expertise in running $75 million funds. And so we looked around the country and said, who is the finest entity that could take the lead and get this done and make these projects happen? And I'm so pleased that LISC became our partner, and the woman who's making these projects go, Tahir Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor, for that kind introduction. We appreciate your partnership and leadership to support affordable housing through the Detroit Housing for the Future Fund. And as you know, 2 years ago, we started this journey together with the city's vision. And their vision was one around making sure that folks are not displaced. We're addressing rising rents, and we meet the demand for affordable housing across the city for the next 15 years and beyond. So we're really thankful because as we were talking about this 2 years ago, PNC was right with us. They were one of the first banking institutions to say, yes, count us in for this work. It took some time to pencil it all out, but we're grateful to be here with Mayor Duggan, Rick DeVore, and we appreciate the partnership with Brian Keeler from PNC to announce this generous commitment of $7.5 million into the fund. Since we launched the fund in October, we've invested in 4 projects: the OSC, as you heard the mayor mention, OC, the West Boston Dream Detroit, and now Belle Nord, which just closed last week. The investment of these projects total $32 million, and the gap financing that was needed to get them across the finish line was $6.8 million. So these projects bring another 150 units of affordable housing to hundreds of Detroiters. And both West Boston and OC were the first financed in the portfolio, and they have the distinction of being led by developers of color. Detroit, there is more to come to support developers of color, as you heard from PNC, and you'll hear more from the fund on that. 1/3 of our developments in our portfolio will support projects led by developers of color. This demonstrates our commitment to equitable development and African-American owned assets, which is an important value for the city of Detroit, LISC, our DHFF investors, and PNC. And so far, we're tracking very well on this metric. We hope to bring you more good news in the upcoming months, more ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings, and more investors into the fund. We currently have $13 million we're actively working to bring online in terms of projects in the pipeline, and there are 10 slated in 2021 to close. So I want to just thank the city, PNC, our 8 other corporate investors, And also, PNC is joining JP Morgan Chase, Citizens Bank, Flagstar, First Independence, and Kresge Foundation. So thank you so much.
Okay, well, you brought good news that I didn't know about because you're too fast for me. So you closed the fourth project
Did.
last week, which I hadn't heard yet, so tell people the details.
Sure, that project is 29 units. It's in New Center. It's called Belle Nord. And that particular project, we're very excited because it needed about 2.3 million to get across the finish line. So we're excited about that particular project, Mayor.
What street's it at?
Henrique?
Okay, I hit you blind on that
You
question.
did, you
All right.
did.
Well, that's exciting. So I haven't had my weekly update yet, but it tells you how great the partners are. They don't need to wait for me, so thank you. And with that, we'll take any questions.
I have a few. Thank you for the opportunity. Regarding the housing fund, forgive my ignorance on this. Is it conceptually, in a layperson's sense, is it to compensate developers to help get these projects across and provide, sectors of lower income housing availability, or how does the money actually get the projects to fruition?
Sure. So developers would actually go to our website, which is DetroitHousingForTheFutureFund.org, and take a look at the website in terms of pre-application. But there are 5 products within the fund. Some are 0% to 3%, so it's below market rate to incentivize developers to keep their properties and projects affordable. I think the big deal about how to get something across the finish line is just making sure that the City of Detroit, LISC, and the Michigan State Housing Development Authority are aware of the project, and we're able to probably take an application from pre-app all the way to closing. We're getting it down to 120 days, but we're really trying to move very quickly to meet the demand. We have lots of demand.
The other question I had on the fund is, last year when I was doing some earlier research, the hope I've read was to get a $75 million fund amount. Is the thought process that this is finite? Is it to keep it going, in perpetuity?
Yeah. So we thought 75 million was a reasonable amount, and I'll grossly oversimplify this, but bottom line is this: let's say you're going to build an apartment building in Detroit, you can get $800 a month rent in it, and you can make money. That's what you're going to do. But if you want to have some units where you only take $600 a month or $400 a month, because the city wants to make sure that people of all incomes are there, as an apartment builder, you're entitled to come to us and say, look, I'll rent it at $400 a month, but I'm not the government, I'm not the public. You need to give me financial help to make up that $400. And whether that's a 0% loan or another product, what we do basically is guarantee our residents have access to those units 15 years, 30 years, depending on the deal, at that lower rate by putting in that money. That's what it does. Right now, projects are going quickly. We also are applying for a lot of money from the Biden administration. And so we're coming at this a lot of different ways. You're going to see a lot more affordable housing built in the city of Detroit.
Appreciate the clarification. On to the vaccines. One question I had, appreciating you're talking 5 o'clock today, and it's obviously the initial offering that you're talking about. Down the line, when we talk children, do you foresee this being more sensitive? And also, do you foresee any involvement with like a public schools type campaign, perhaps ahead of next fall, to get kids vaccinated? I'm just curious what's even on the table.
I'm going to leave that to Dr. Vitti. Certainly, you can understand the teachers' anxiety, and this has been the issue nationally, of teachers having to go into classrooms where the children may or may not be, and very likely are not vaccinated unless they were 16 or up. And so how the schools in this country are going to handle this, I'm not sure. My job is to make the vaccine available, and I think you'll see the school leadership take the proper role in educating parents. I just remember when I was a kid, I took the polio vaccine and the sugar cube. Every one of us lined up and took the vaccine, and we never thought to ask questions. This is a far different day. And so we're going to make sure parents have every opportunity to be informed, to be with their child, and it's the right thing to do. I mean, we're in this building, we have both a 5-year-old Skylar's parents working, one from the police department and one from the fire department. Tragedy can strike at any age, and I hope people will get their children protected.
Last one off topic is from this morning. You had to run, but I was going to ask you to, you talked about it a little bit in regard to the Riverwalk and the expansion groundbreaking today. Going back 20 years, pre-bankruptcy,
Right.
where we were versus where it's going.
Growing up in Detroit, I didn't know we had a riverfront. I mean, the public couldn't get there. It was a bunch of factories and cement silos and some wealthy developments where they could own the property. And you go to Chicago and they have preserved that whole riverfront for the city, and you say, aren't they lucky? Here we are 15 years later with what USA Today says is the #1 river walk in America. And with what happened today, they are creating that walk from Mount Elliott Park to Belle Isle. You're going to be able to go literally from Belle Isle down past the Ren Center and ultimately past the Ambassador Bridge to the Gordie Howe Bridge, walking or bike riding or nowadays riding a scooter. And in the riverfront, I'm not sure this city has had a central place where everybody came together other than maybe the sports stadiums. But in recent years, you go down to that riverfront on weekends, and everybody from every neighborhood, every income, all in one place enjoying it. I think it's a great unifying development for the city, and I just have enormous credit to Matt Cullen and to Mark Wallace, GM, Kresge, and everybody that's made this possible.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, we've got a few questions from other reporters who are watching remotely. Kim Craig from Channel 7 wants to know, given the fact that there are a number of Detroiters who are still either not motivated to or reluctant to get the vaccine, do you see any concerns that they might be also not willing to have their children vaccinated?
Yeah, everybody's making their own decision right now. I am making sure the vaccine is available easily, no appointments, walk in safely. And Denise Fair and the Health Department are continuing to do multiple education programs every day. And so everybody is making their own choice. Everybody that I run into who is not vaccinated, I just talked to them about, this is hard to describe. You don't realize how much stress you're living under every day, worrying that you're going to get it or you're going to give it to somebody. I haven't met a single person who's gotten the vaccine who didn't a week or two later say, I'm so glad I got it. I don't believe how much better I feel now. I don't have to worry about passing it to my family. So I just encourage folks to do it, and the Good Neighbor program is working. We're at 100 a day. I'd love to get up to 200 a day on the Good Neighbor program, because it's really people you care about talking to you that ultimately will drive the vaccination rate.
Thank you. We've had a couple of reporters ask in the last couple of days, in light of the governor's announcement recently about reaching the 55% vaccination threshold and lifting the,
Right.
what's the city planning to do to bring back city workers?
Yeah, we are. We're waiting for the regulations from MIOSHA, but I have a whole team of people working on it. They'll probably be upset if I tell them what I want the final result to be. But we're going to find ways to get people efficiently, particularly those vaccinated, efficiently into all the city offices. Those who aren't vaccinated need to go through the health screenings and regular tests and the like. But, you know, I'm back in the office. Everybody around me is vaccinated. We've been working normally for quite a while, and we'll get city workers back. And of course, our police, our fire, our water department workers, our building inspectors, they've been working, bus drivers, mechanics, they've been working through this entire thing. So it's time for office workers to get back to work.
One other question I had missed from Sarah Rahal from the Detroit News. She's wanting to know, will the city be doing anything to verify age of the children that are being brought in for vaccinations?
Yeah, I think we're going to take the legal guardian's word. I don't know if 13-year-olds have driver's licenses, but I think we'll take the word that we will insist on ID from the guardian, and we'll take the guardian's word.
Two topics, two different topics. Charter Commission, with the Charter Commission saying that they're going to be sending up changes to the governor. They wanted, Sarah Rahal wanted to know if you were going to have a chance to review these, if you know what the timing is, or if it would be.
I have no idea what they're doing. They missed the deadline. Yesterday was the deadline to submit the final charter to the clerk. I have no idea what they're sending up to the governor at this point. And I have no idea who's giving them their legal advice. I can't imagine the governor is going to tell them anything except the deadline was last Tuesday to be on the ballot. You look at what the Charter Commission did in 2009, 2010, which is the charter we're operating on now. They came together, they worked officially without drama. They submitted the charter to the governor a year ahead of time. Governor Snyder had a number of things he objected to. They came back, they fixed them, they put them on the ballot. It passed with 70% of the vote. In this case, they've taken so long with all the bickering and fighting, the Charter Commission goes out of business by state law on August 7th. And so there's all this scrambling, but I'll leave it to the lawyers to sort out, but it appears to me they've missed the deadline to make any changes.
Last question on another topic from Jason Laverty from Channel 4, wanting to know how the process is going for you to select an interim police chief.
So I spent several hours the last 2 days in interviews. I will be spending several hours yet today and tonight. The talent that's come out of the Detroit Police Department is just outstanding. I'm so pleased. It's going to be a hard decision. I've talked to all 11 members of the Board of Police Commissioners, talked to them about the people that I'm interviewing, and I've gotten their perspective on every single one. You're going to see, I think, overwhelming support from the Board of Police Commissioners. I am so impressed with my conversations. I mean, these 11 members meet every single week. They get paid virtually nothing. And they do it because they're dedicated to the city and the department and their insight into the different candidates and how we should go about this. We're just very helpful. And so I'm going to appoint, I suspect, early next week. This won't take long. The interim chief. That interim chief will have full powers. I expect the department to step up its efforts on the violence reduction in this city, on the speeding and the drifting in the city. We're not going to act like this is some placeholder. And then I know the Police Commission and Chairman Willie Belle are putting together their search process, and I think you're going to see them handle that very professionally. And I'm confident they're going to give me a good list of qualified candidates at the end of that process. So right now, Detroit should be proud. I think when you hear from the Board of Police Commissioners, you'll be proud of the professional leadership and the way that we are working together to make sure that there is a seamless transition. But I want somebody in place, ready, so the day Chief Craig leaves on June 1st, the whole Detroit Police Department just switches over and just keeps right on going.
Last question.
All right, thank you.